This tale is, as all bard songs are, an adaptation. It may contain adult themes and strong language. Welcome, dear listeners, to Abyss.
Welcome to episode 24 of Abyss. This is just going to be some extras and other gubbins we had lying around, so hope you enjoy. So, if anyone is doing voices, if they could please say they're doing a voice, and then just we'll record 20 seconds or so of you talking in that voice. This is literally just to make sure that the music doesn't drown you out in that voice compared to your normal talking voice.
I'm thinking of trying a voice.
Okay, so shall we start at the top with Dragon?
Okay, so I am Triss Nitra. I am of Zauneld, a house in the service of Lolth. Unfortunately, she is clumsy and hit me with a bunch of her magic, and now they don't know what to do with me, so they have put me in here and I do not know what will happen to me.
Okay, Freya, are you using another voice, or are you just using your own?
I have enough trouble speaking English as it is. I'm not going to try and doing an accent, that'll be horrible.
That's fine, Susie?
Yeah, okay, let's try one.
Okay.
What? Why do you want to know who I am? No, right, okay, maybe. Right, my name's 13, alright? And I don't know why we're here. We just are. You know, I'm with that big, scary looking orky, ugly, elfishy one. No.
You just remind me of the Knack McFeagle.
She's kind of like one of those, yeah.
Right, okay.
So, I don't know.
Tauno, are you doing any accent, or are you just doing your own?
I could try to, emulate a specific accent rather than just this hodgepodge stuff I'm doing.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
I'll give it a shot. Shot.
Okay.
Well, if I am to be stuck here with the rest of you, I presume it would be helpful to know what each of us can do. Yeah.
Alright, okay.
I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Now I just have to do it again.
That sounds like the kind of voice that's going to get real tired of telling 13 off.
It'll be
Yes.
fine. It'll have the
Yeah.
map problem of you'll start being like, hello, right, this time we're going to go and try this instead. And then by 10 episodes in, you'll be like, I can't be fucked anymore.
Why did I do an accent?
Was that French? You were
Meant to be Welsh.
It started as Welsh.
There's Welsh, and I can't do Welsh for a long
Guys are
period.
great.
Anyway,
now I'm tempted to do
So
like...
much fun.
Before we get distracted, Wednesday, are you doing an accent, or are you just talking your normal voice?
Oh no, I'm just gonna talk in my normal voice. I don't actually do voices and accents because I forget them.
That's fine.
Hey, same.
It's too risky.
It is.
That's fine. Alright, okay. I think that's everything. Okay, so starting with Shiraz for the mic check, and in response to tomorrow, which is National Something on a Stick Day. What is your favourite thing on a stick?
What?
I'm really stumped because I've chosen this now, and I have to. I made my bed, and I have to lie in it.
It could be worse. Wait till you see what's on the episode.
No pressure whatsoever. I think like I'll be very, very obvious and just say like meat, like kebabs on a stick, right there, tasty, and I'm shameless, so yeah.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing on a stick.
Okay. Wednesday?
Wow, this is really difficult. What is my favorite thing on a stick? Oh, lollipops. I love lollipops, especially when I'm driving, and I shouldn't eat them because I have a tongue ring. And it kind of like, when you're sucking a lollipop and then it gets that hole in the center, especially if it's got sherbet in the middle, and then my tongue ring gets stuck in there. So
I had not thought of the implications of that.
yeah, it's really unpleasant, but I can't stop myself. My what's it called? Cubbyhole glove compartment is filled with lollipops.
Okay. Now?
Probably have to be... Shit, what's this called in English? It's like... Is it ice pops it's called? When it's like made just basically like frozen fruit juice. But like
Ice lollies.
Ice lollies, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Since I'm lactose intolerant, I can't have, regular ice cream.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the words I need in English.
What's your favorite flavor of all of them?
My favorite flavor would have to be probably strawberry. Strawberry or raspberry, I like them a lot.
Okay. Next we have Tauno.
I would have to go with ice cream on a stick as well. I'm not lactose intolerant, so I can actually eat the ice cream. So yeah, I'm guessing I have to fill out some space.
Yes.
Take out the mic check. So I think that Nestle has sort of also taken over Denmark in that market. I think Nestle is big most places. But we do have a few Danish companies that are still eking out a little bit of business. They do have some good ones. Though I think, because we're Danish, they're called Eskimo ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Eskimo pies, yeah?
Yeah, like the Inuits. But because Greenland is still a Danish colony. Denmark still has colonies.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yep. Iceland used to belong to Denmark as well.
Yeah. They took the first shot they had to get out.
Yeah.
A lot of places used to belong to Denmark, including Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Sweden got you.
Yeah, the bastards.
We've started a Scandinavian flame war.
Norway is like the geek kid that got pushed around and is now like a tech giant.
Yeah.
We're the little brother who suddenly got rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, my answer. I don't think there's many like foods on a stick that I can eat.
Anything could be on a stick if you try hard enough.
It can.
Wow, that sounded so dodge. Oh my god.
So,
Don't say heads on pike. Don't say heads on pike.
So I'm running a group through Strad at the moment, and one of them is really, really happy that she managed to pick up a frog on a stick in a dungeon.
Wow.
It's like her favourite possession ever.
I love stories.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. And finally, Susie.
My favourite thing on a stick would be like when you get some fruit like pineapple or strawberry or something and you dip it in chocolate and then eat it, like melted chocolate and then eat it. That's my favourite.
Ooh, like a fondue.
Yeah.
So like the chocolate fountain thing.
Not so much the fountains because you put a lot of oil in the chocolate. So
True.
they go through the fountain, which makes it kind of gross. But when you just have like the natural fondant that you've mixed, that's yummy. We also made chocolates, like our own truffles this year for Christmas presents for people, and we used sticks to make them. And they were amazing on sticks, yeah. It was so much effort though. But yeah, so yeah, that's my favourite thing on a stick.
I discovered yesterday that I am indeed ambidextrous to the point that I can use chopsticks with both hands, which annoyed people in the restaurant I was dragged to for food last night.
Did you start
people
eating
struggle
with
with chopsticks in one hand.
It's like, I tried my right hand and I couldn't get it, so I put it in my left hand, it was like immediate, I could just do it. And I'm like,
Because you're meant
so if I
to
just do it like that on my right hand, it will work. So I put it in my right hand and start again, I could just do it. And the woman looking at me was just like, you bastard.
That is by far
I spent the first like 5 minutes like, looking at them,
response.
going like, "How do you hold these?" Right, okay. What do I do with them? I've never tried properly before. How the fuck do you do this? Yeah, immediately. And she just looked at me like, "I fucking hate you."
That is
Was
the
this
proper
a
response.
random other person?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I got dragged to Japanese food last night. Actually, not bad.
Ooh, what did
Why
you
do
As
you
you-
say it like you resented, like you got dragged?
Because I turned up and they went, "Yeah, we actually are going out for food," and I went, "Okay, I look like a scarecrow," and they went, "You always look like a scarecrow. It's fine." And I was like, "Okay, where are we going?" And they go, "Oh, we're going for Japanese food." And immediately my brain's going, "Oh no."
To be honest,
I
that's
have
a very
tried-
standard Glaswegian response.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Yeah,
sushi or
that's
anything like that. I don't really like fish, so
I have spent years trying to get you to try Japanese food.
yeah.
I love Japanese, but then again, I love all Oriental food because I'm biased like that.
Okay, Tauno.
If I had to name myself, I think I'd just stick with my current name. I have nothing particularly against it, and there's no other name I'd really prefer. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Dragon.
Hello. If I was to change my name, see, the thing is that I'm mostly known as Dragon anyway, so I would probably just change it to Dragon, but that feels like a little bit of a cop-out. I don't know. Is that a good enough answer?
Dragon, you always pick like the really safe option.
I know.
With all of these like
safe,
things, it's always the super safe option. Okay, I'm gonna do this. It's super safe. Yeah,
Change my name to Bartholomew Pizzeria.
exactly.
Well, in fairness, my real name is pretty uncommon, and a lot of people tend to have not heard of it before, so
It's a nice
I can't
name.
really go for too much weirder. So, yeah.
Okay, Susie.
Hello, I'm Susie. I play 13, who's a goblin, and I'm also really boring in that my actual name is Susan. Most people call me Susie, but over the years I've become very proud of what the name Susan represents, which is somebody sensible. So, yeah, that would be...
entirely Pratchett related.
Partly, yeah. I mean, one of the things was I'm super excited about Good Omens coming out because, like, Good Omens was that book that I read at that age, which just kind of then steered my interests and a lot of my personality and sense of humour in a specific direction. And then the second book I read of Pratchett's was Soul Music, and I totally related to Susan. I was like, yeah, okay, this is great. Because I also went to an all-girls school where you were girls, you know? So, yeah.
That's actually a great question to ask if we ever have to ask. Like, what book, like, direct, what was the first one that really meant?
Yeah, I remember the exact day because it was my mum worked at the blood transfusion in Glasgow, and I would often after school go and wait in her office to get lifts home, and there was a sort of receptionist dude, and I would sit and annoy him. And one day he brought me in 3 books, and he brought me in a copy of, well, it was 2 books. He brought me in a copy of Good Omens, a copy of a book called Friday, which I can't remember the author of, but it was about a sort of a sentient robot trying to gain, like, becoming a civilian. And he brought me the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on audio tape.
Oh, cool.
And then, like, that was it. Was like, I awoke.
That's amazing.
It was so good.
I remember mine was Spike Milligan's Adolf Hitler and My Partner's Downfall. And I found all his war memoirs and read it, and that, like, basically kickstarted my love of the absurd.
Yeah.
I have no idea what mine was. 'Cause I'm probably the most thin-read of everyone here.
No, it's more like the book that it doesn't matter if it was your first or not. It's the one that, like, kind of stuck out to you.
It doesn't even necessarily need to be a book. I mean, it could even just be like a movie or a TV series, just something
comic
that...
book.
The big
Yeah,
one.
If you do
Same.
comic book, then probably my
Yeah.
dark sense of humour was embraced by, like, the original Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
I haven't read that, but it sounds amazing.
It's a comic by Jonan Vasquez, who does Invader Zim.
Oh, okay.
long time before I did Invader Zim. Did this.
I
comic
remember
about
Johnny
this.
the Homicidal Maniac. Yeah.
I read it in
But
comic form, then I found the annual somewhere, got it all, and it's probably one of the most inspirational things I've ever read because of how completely pitch black humor it is. I did relate to it a lot.
Very bizarre. It's good.
That's kind
I'll
of cool.
put this down in my reading list.
I don't remember if there's anything else that I would put on my list for nonsense that's actually influenced me. As I said, I'm probably the most thinly read person here. I'm influenced more by like other medium, I guess. I'm trying to think if there's anything book-wise.
To be fair, you've got a few years on me, so I might be more thinly read than you.
You have read far more than me, Tauno. Inspired by a lot of horror movies and stuff, I guess. Like, for example, one of those things I remember that probably inspired me was Dead Set, which was the Charlie Brooker one that was about the zombie apocalypse.
Big Brother house?
Big Brother, yeah.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, I have a bunch of friends who are still my friends who are impressive book snobs, and it tires me when they start talking about like stuff like they say that if you're not read, then it's like doesn't matter. Any media is fine. Like I love Dark Souls. So
I love Dark Souls.
To the point where I'm like, holy, I love that game. After a long time, it was like phoning up my friend and going, "Hey, do you know how to beat this guy?" It reminded me of the SNES days.
Yes.
Like when you had to call your friends and you had to like figure out how to get past this.
There was no internet, you had to just make friends with someone who was good. Yep.
Do you remember when you would buy magazines to get the cheat codes?
Oh, God.
Holy shit. And then they didn't work, like in my case, once. It's like, yeah, but that kind of stuff. I feel that like nowadays there's so much media.
I mean, what's your earliest like fantasy novel experience? Like someone either reading a book to you or you reading it?
Hitchhikers.
Like actual fantasy?
Actual fantasy. Tolkien. No, straight up. Like read Tolkien.
Actual fantasy. P.S. Anthony.
When I was, I think, 3 or 4, we had an audiobook of The Hobbit, pretty much always going in the car.
I think I probably got that one.
It was a Danish version, so probably
right.
no.
Maybe not.
My first fantasy experience wasn't a book, but it was a cartoon called The Flight of Dragons, and it was about dragons. But the fantastic thing is it also had James Earl Jones in it as the bad guy.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the good
That's
bad guy
cool.
choice.
Yeah, like he's playing the Dark Lord Omidon, like, and he's just bad. And that was based on some books, which I then went and got when I was old enough to read them because they were like fairly advanced adult fiction. Kind of was weird. So
My first experience of playing anything fantasy was the Choose Your Own Adventure book by Steve Jackson.
oh god damn, yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but I remember like it having a tower and you had to go up it, and I died like so many times because I kept
I really
Experience
hated
it.
those books.
My earlier experience at fantasy stuff was my folks used to read David Eddings books for me, and that was probably one of the main reasons why I like very complicated long stories.
Yeah, definitely.
What was your answer, Dragon?
Probably Tolkien as well. I know I read The Hobbit when I was fairly young, and yeah, I read Lord of the Rings in a week after school. So, as a child, I devoured books. I could read really quickly up until this ME crash, and now I just cannot concentrate for that
same.
long. I just cannot
Exactly the
focus at
same.
all.
I think it's more the case of like Lord of the Rings. I was okay. I'm not like a super fan. I know most of the stuff, but my friend actually put in effort to learn Quenya.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he did nothing with it. But the point is, like, he sat down and he learned it, and I was like, "You're a madman. You should stop."
That's some serious dedication.
Yeah,
Gee.
I think he wanted to do it just so that he could say he could, which is the weirdest part. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
that's the reason to do anything, isn't it? To say that you
I
can.
suppose.
But, if you're going to go for one of the languages that he made up, just, he went straight for the hardest one.
Yeah, he just went like straight to advanced level.
Yeah, I've replaced a lot of reading with audiobooks. Like, I recently finished Arthur C. Clarke's Rendezvous with Rama sort of series. Listening to it, I know it's a book I would never have sat down and read, but listening to it was really, really good. So I recommend that if people are struggling to read audiobooks are just freaking awesome.
That's a problem with audiobooks. I feel sleepy and then I doze off.
Yeah,
No,
but
I can't sing with them, so I'd rather listen to music.
you don't need to be sitting down while you're listening to them. I listen to them while I work and stuff, and it's good fun. Especially if they do good voices, like some of them are hilarious.
I remember listening to the Hitchhiker's audio dramas and being thoroughly entertained because the voice.
Oh,
I love
yes.
those. I love those. I actually had them on CD in my car.
I still can't stop laughing at bits, like especially the bit where Mr. Prosser sees Arthur running from his house on fire with spears sticking out his back. He's
Yeah,
a direct male line descendant of Genghis Khan.
like everybody in the world is.
I can't get beyond that page without like having to shut it and having a good giggle.
My favourite scene was always when Marvin's in the car park at the restaurant at the end of the universe and he's on the phone to Zane and he's like, would you like me to stick my head in a bucket of water for you? And then it's like there was sad little gurgles coming down the end of the phone. Marvin's the best.
See, just you telling me that is making me like break out.
All I remember from reading the Hitchhiker's books was getting to the point where he's talking about being able to fly.
Oh, that's so
And it's
good.
like
Yeah.
jumping off something high and looking and getting this and forgetting about landing. And it's things like when he jumps
think
off
about
and he
laundry.
remembers the luggage he lost from the airport several years before.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's such a good bit. It's like the art of flying is throwing yourself at the ground and missing.
It is though. It's brilliant.
Susie, have you seen
I
Look
feel like
Around
I
You?
need to reread it.
I have not seen Look Around You.
Should
I
check out
have.
The,
I
check out
have.
the first series. The first series is fantastic. The second series is a bit meh. But the
Thanks,
first series is
Ant.
fantastic.
Okay.
Pants.
Yes.
Very well.
What are birds? We just don't know.
It's so good. His voice is so amazing. It's Peter Serafinovich, if you know. It's like
Yeah, it's basically just a sort of piss take of children's science shows, and it's just
Yeah, like the
brilliant.
science programs you used to get shown in school when they would wheel the telly in. It's where
But
ancient.
But it's just fucking great.
it's good. It's
Yeah.
proper.
You can probably get it for
absurdism.
like quid second hand now, and it's well worth picking.
You can find it on YouTube.
It's on YouTube
Yeah,
now.
I just
it's on
googled
YouTube.
it. It's on YouTube.
Perfect.
It's,
Oh, yeah, I see it.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. I got my friends to start saying thanks ants like to each other.
Anyway, we'll do it for a mic check. Okay, so for the mic check, to celebrate National Anisette Day, what is your favourite licorice flavoured thing? Starting with Shiraz.
Hi, I'm Shiraz and I play Ishidoro, the Dragonborn. I have never had liquor, so I'm like going to just be not talking about. Is it aniseed? Oh, it's aniseed, right?
Aniseed, yeah.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, I've
absinthe
had
and
it,
all that
but,
other
like,
stuff.
Yeah, but like in our case, like we use aniseed a lot for like cooking purpose and all that other stuff. So I may have had it in the past, but I literally do not know like what it tastes like. I haven't had absinthe, so I always wanted to try, but never tried. So straight, I'm going to have to draw a blank here. I have
well.
shamed everyone.
That's fine, it's not going to get many
dishonored.
answers.
Yeah.
So, Tauno?
Hi, I'm Tauno, and I play Rasthikos, the human warrior. And since I'm Scandinavian, I've tried a lot of different types of licorice. And I have to say, I think my favourite is what is here in Denmark sold as sweet Finnish licorice, which I don't know if that's meaningful for the rest of you.
So what
but,
makes it different?
well, it's sort of a softer, not quite taffy soft, but almost there licorice with a bit of sweetness, and then the typical licorice flavour from the aniseed.
If you had to describe to someone what licorice tastes like without saying it's licorice, how would you describe?
Is that just for me, or will I get some help?
In general.
It's kind of bitter.
Bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bit of bitterness.
It's like a really bitter, greenish flavoured version of some nuts or seed.
Okay. Because someone once told me it was licorice and they had me eat a vanilla pod. A little bit of it.
Yeah, that doesn't help very well.
I'm just trying to work out how best to describe it. Kind of bitter is kind of the only thing that comes to mind when I think of licorice. I mean, I'm not really a fan, so
It's bitter and slightly tangy.
yeah.
It's
And-
tart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it is
like a
seed.
sharp flavour.
Yeah, it is a seed, so it has that like actual aniseed. They're small and crunchy almost.
I've seen it in its
Yeah.
herb form, and I've used it in like curries and like other stuff, but I've never.
Yeah, it's also
tried-
used in like mulled wine because star anise,
Oh,
they're all sort of part of the same family. So
Yeah.
star anise, licorice, aniseed, they're all this kind of
Yeah,
flowering
Ani-
plant.
the aniseed itself has it's got a really sharp flavour on its own. I imagine it would be much nicer cooked.
sorry to take over mic check.
That's fine, just a mic check. So, Dragon?
Favourite licorice thing? I'm not very keen on the taste of aniseed, but there was some licorice that you could get that was raspberry. I think it was an Australian licorice that was raspberry flavoured, and that was beautiful.
The one you used to eat.
But I can't eat it anymore.
Yeah, I used to love that one. It's very
Yeah.
pretty.
I can't eat it anymore. It makes me sick.
Shame. And Susie?
Hey! Well, my favourite aniseed thing is aniseed balls, which is basically hard candy. It's flavoured of anise, and it's nice. I also really like licorice all sorts, because that's sugar in licorice, so that's really good. And the word I would describe licorice as, actually, is like treacly or molassesy. That's the flavour of it.
Okay. Now I get it.
But it's like a sort of intenser, sharper.
Yeah.
It's like a sharp version of
Yeah,
treacle.
sharp, bitter treacle. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
That's my contribution. I've been sitting eating some licorice because I had a friend visiting and they brought me licorice and you guys were talking about licorice and I was like, oh, I'm going to go get some.
To celebrate National Kitten Day, what is your favourite fact about kittens? Starting with Susie.
Sorry, just as you said National Kitten Day, my little bootsy cat was like, meow, meow. My favourite fact about cats and kittens is that they meow for people. Usually it's a noise that they don't generally make at other cats, but will make for people. So it's like they've learned to talk to us in their own little language. That's my favourite fact.
Fair enough. Dragon.
Hello. Favourite fact about kittens?
Kittens.
I will follow on from Susie's point because the cries that they make are almost the same frequency as human babies. So they've managed to discover the frequency that all humans have embedded in them to respond to immediately. So it's not just they've
Manipulative
developed a
bastards.
language. They've not just developed a language, they've developed a good way of going human now.
Tauno.
I know very little about cats in general, and next to nothing about kittens. I guess my favourite fact about a kitten would be that they purr, which is nice. Do they purr? Again, I don't know if that's
They do.
if there's an
They
age.
do.
Good.
Almost a Bellry question.
I know nothing about cats.
Well, big cats, tigers don't purr.
Yeah, they do.
No, I don't think they. I read a thing that they don't.
Oh. Layla.
My favorite thing about kittens are their licky tongues. So the tongues that are all scratchy and they like to lick things. On that note, I'm super allergic to cats, but that doesn't seem to bother them because they just all come into the room and they just all come. And then I get licked and rubbed against and all of that.
Well, they
So,
know
yes.
that you're allergic, so it's
Yeah,
in a
they know, they
cat's
can
nature.
sense it.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And finally, Shiraz.
They grow really fast. Like, I'm not sure about other offspring of other animals, but kittens within like a 2 to 3 weeks or something, aren't they supposed to be like all up and about investigating stuff, trying to figure out where they live and what surrounds them and how many things they can push over without getting in trouble?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but just as a side note, I do know facts about cats. For example, I didn't know for the longest time that a cat headbutting you is a sign of affection and trust.
Oh, cool.
But to be fair, not being scratched is a sign of affection.
Ow, laughing roots.
The mic check this week will be to celebrate National Talk in an Elevator Day. So tell us about the best conversation you've had in an elevator. Starting with Shiraz.
Hello. Nobody really talks in an elevator. They all like are on their phones or they're doing something. There was this, it wouldn't be a conversation, but it was like a non-verbal words. Because someone had their headphones on and they were playing something on their phone and they had to scratch their nose or something and they accidentally like popped out the cable and it was full-on porn in the elevator and he scrambled to shut it down and everyone just looked at each other and just like, I think there was a collective telepathic moment where everyone was like, this didn't happen, we didn't need to talk about it, we're just gonna
Well, I'll just pretend this never happened.
I mean, it's the polite thing to do. You don't turn around and say, what clip are you watching?
No, you don't embarrass a man when he's watching his porn.
Yeah, we just ignore him, but from then on he's been known as the porn in the elevator guy. He doesn't have a name. That was his penalty. No names for you anymore. You're just elevator porn guy now.
I remember when I was doing nursing, there was a patient. Apparently, the supervisor had walked in to like clean his room and stuff like that, and he scrambled to get his laptop shut, but he only had one working arm, and he couldn't get it shut in time. Apparently, he was watching very dirty nurse porn, shall we say?
It's just the fact that he had one working arm that makes that story so good.
That made it worse.
His other arm was like in a big sticky, if I remember right. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I've never been called into a meeting, and it's just like, what happens is we need to talk about patient X. Why? Oh, well, I walked in and he was watching some things on his screen. Okay, well, what was it? Was it, things like, oh, it was, pornographic. Alright, okay. Doesn't bother anyone there. And it's like, but it was nurse porn. And all of them are looking at each other like, really? Oh.
I'm surprised you guys didn't come up with a nickname for him, like One-Arm Bandit.
They probably did. I was only there for like another week or so after that. But yeah, fucking weird.
That's how I get through work. I give people nicknames. Oh, I don't know.
Right, Layla?
Okay, so I have never really had a conversation in an elevator with anyone other than my daughter, who was explaining to me why we needed to try and find as many Pokemon as we could so that she could in fact become best friends with my friend Matt, so he would give her an Alakazam.
Excellent strategy.
That's a good strategy, yeah.
That sounds very important.
Yeah.
Very well thought out, I approve.
Otherwise nobody talks to me in the lift because I am kind of scary looking and most people think I'm a Satanist.
You should go all or nothing for that.
What, become a Satanist?
No, as in like pretend and then like put it on social media.
Pretend that I decided to become a Satanist.
In an elevator with just one person, and then like put it on social media because it's all or
just
nothing.
Go like, aha! I'm gonna do it today. Like go into like wait in the lift for like one person to walk in and then just be like, I've
just
decided.
Just like, could you hold these candles and then start drawing a circle on the ground, just like with chalk, and just be like,
and then encourage them to stand in the middle of the circle.
Could you please stand here and hold this bucket of blood? Thank you. It's just like,
and then if they, for any reason, do anything, just cover your mouth and look shocked.
oh, they're not going to like that, and then continue drawing.
Yep, you could see that happening. Dragon?
I'm not often in a lift anymore to talk to people, so it doesn't really apply very much.
Apparently we need to introduce yourself and share a conversation with a fellow elevator passenger and move to post our experience on social media with hashtag Talk in an Elevator Day. I'm going to check that on Friday and see if there's actually anything.
But I don't want to. I don't like talking to people. Ow.
Have you seen anything
I am
odd?
I am incredibly antisocial.
Have you seen anything odd in an elevator happen? Because like I don't mind those conversations.
I once in a mosh pit in an elevator.
Wow, that's interesting.
It was at Stratha Uni and it was me and 3 other people, and we got into the lift and then someone's phone started going off and then my mate decided that it would be the best time to start a mosh pit, and and then the lift fell 2 floors. Yeah, and it was just then the lift stopped and we got out and we went, that was fucking weird, let's go to the pub.
That is quite weird, yeah. That's almost impressively weird.
Yeah. But I've ceased to be surprised. But I find that like things like the elevator porn guy are just like things that make my life a little bit more enriched. Because like there's so much mundanity going around. That kind of stuff is amazing when it happens.
It's one of these things that everybody deep down is a little bit weird. And occasionally, everybody's little weirdness leaks out. Like,
it's
that
even
guy's
better.
probably never watched porn in an elevator since.
I hope not.
I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he's not been put off in the slightest. Maybe that was part of the thrill.
A very
Being caught.
specific fetish. A very specific fetish.
Yeah. Well, you know, whatever floats anybody's boat. Because he's not hurting anyone. Like making people watch porn in an elevator.
It's
showing people your porn in an elevator is not.
Yeah.
It's just like turning the screen and going, what do you think? And I said,
what do you think? I got the angle right, and they're just watching this screen transfixed. Just what the fuck is this?
I just watch it for the plot. That's all. But it's better when normal people do weird things. People you think are normal then do something weird, and that's like.
Yeah, that's how I get away with most things I do, because people just assume I'm insane anyway. It's great.
And suddenly mosh pit.
Yep. Suddenly mosh pit.
That is quite random.
Did we get an answer? No, we didn't get an answer from Susie yet. So Susie?
Well, like Dragon, the last time I was in the lift was at the airport and I was by myself. So I don't really recall any interesting lift conversation stories, but I have an interesting fact. And one of those ones is they put mirrors on the walls of elevators or lifts. That's because people will be too busy looking at themselves in the mirror to graffiti the elevator up.
That makes sense.
Because we're all just vain monkeys.
And stop people getting terrified that they're in a small metal box that moves.
Well, partly. I think it has multiple uses. But one of them, is to stop people doing
Then
graffiti.
you get, like at Princess Square, and it's glass lifts. It's all glass. And when I was little, I was absolutely terrified of being in that thing.
Yeah,
it was so
they're
scary.
awful when you're like stood at the edge and watching it go down. It's like
Yeah, it was so bad. Like
there's
I get
one in
vertigo,
Cineworld
right?
as well.
I like the one in
Like the
Cineworld.
corner one at Cineworld.
The one in Cineworld just reminds me, I always get the Game of Thrones theme stuck in my head as it rises up. No idea why.
Yeah, but it was there before Game of Thrones, dude.
I know.
It was there
but it's
before
just-
Game of Thrones. That's how old we are. That's how
I
old
know.
it is.
I always like the glass lifts because they feel amazing. They like what supervillain goes up in, you know?
That's true. But
Yeah, you travel and
I'm
stuff.
not a fan.
Yeah.
But notice also people do not graffiti on the inside of those ones.
I feel
No,
kind of
it's true.
sad that the National Day calendar, which we do get all these from, tweeted in 2007, "Don't do this," about talking an elevator day.
Really?
You'll be mistook
That's
for the
because
Looney
it's
Tune.
weird.
For a Looney Tune, sorry. Like what? Bugs Bunny?
But, yes. So,
And
yeah.
also the picture, the stock image doesn't do them great justice because both of these people look like
Assholes.
well, yes, but
do
but they
kind
also
of,
look
yeah.
like what I imagine Shadowrun mages to look like. They're just compared.
Assholes.
I don't think anyone's ever worn a suit in Shadowrun apart from like a big boss.
I thought the mages always like kind of like corporate mages always.
Well, yeah.
See, now you have to run a game of Shadowrun and we all need to wear suits.
Oh,
How long will that last?
I already
I've just-
was talking to Dragon about how I want to potentially run a small, short Shadowrun campaign, trying to get as many people that I used to run Cyberpunk with, which would be Dragon, Susie, Amy, possibly even track down Emma.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, I don't think anyone would actually listen to that without their ears exploding, so...
I mean,
It
come
might
on.
be difficult.
It might be,
I mean, it could be a really good idea for running up to the release of Cyberpunk.
it could be,
It
that's
could,
very
yeah.
true. Cross
My
multiple very
stipulation is, I get pumpkin. You can just be a normal chihuahua with armor. It doesn't need to be helicopter pumpkin. You know.
We shall see.
Come on. Havelock was a gold mine of just wondrousness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Today's mic check celebrates National Lighthouse Day. So what is your favourite thing about a lighthouse? Starting with Shiraz.
Hello. I have no idea. I've never been inside a lighthouse, so I've always been curious. In media, I always like the fact that like a lighthouse is usually home to some wise person who's living there because they, I don't know, murdered someone and then have to live there imparting wisdom for the rest of their lives. So hypothetically, I like the idea of the place that it is in solitude in the middle of nowhere, and then one rainy night everything comes crashing down.
Okay. Wednesday?
My favorite thing about lighthouses is that they light the way. Just like sort of in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, even though there wasn't a lighthouse, the lights at the Frankenstein place did in fact behave like a lighthouse.
Tauno?
I think my favourite thing about lighthouses would be how they, in the past, stopped ship from crashing on the shoreline.
I believe they still do.
In some places, I guess the places that still have lighthouses, they still do that job. I think the places where they don't need lighthouses for it, they don't have lighthouses now that I think about it. So I guess that's more of a reason to like lighthouses then.
We'll go on to Triss.
Hello. I'm just going to ramble for a little bit because I have been trying to get stuff sorted, and
What's your favourite thing about
Yeah.
lighthouses?
I don't care about lighthouses. I know.
Oh my gosh! Sacrilege!
How could you?
Have we
All
been
the
allowed
lighthouses-
to
Famous lighthouses ever was the Lighthouse of Alexandria. It was one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world.
And then someone burnt it down.
We don't have to talk about that.
I don't
Well,
think
was it you?
No,
was
the
it you?
lighthouse wasn't.
It wasn't me.
Okay.
It was burnt
Pretty
down
sure the
after
lighthouse
Alexander
wasn't burned
died.
down.
A lot of Alexander's stuff was destroyed, torn apart in all the wars after Alexander died. Well, he famously said, "To the strongest goes my kingdom," or whatever. But
Yeah.
that was
That's what he
probably a
spelled.
lie.
He was a strange one,
Thought.
wasn't he, that Alexander?
He was an
just
impressive fellow.
Yes, but he was also a complete psychopath.
All the great
It's
leaders
weird.
were.
It's
Well,
like
He was
the
also
whole
from a
thing-
different time.
quite literally.
he was absolutely a psychopath. A very successful one, but
Yes.
Susie, lighthouses.
My favourite thing about lighthouses is that they're nearly always haunted in fiction, which is awesome. But my favourite lighthouse is in Annihilation, and I'm not going to speak more than that because it gives major spoilers, but it's so cool.
Oh, the movie with what's her face? Natalie Portman?
Yeah, Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac. But it's even cooler in the books, which if you get the opportunity to, I suggest listening to the audiobooks of, because there's a certain amount of scripting, I guess, because they put thought into, well, I mean, they all put thought into the voice actors that do it, but it's really clever.
Should do that.
So the question today is, in honour of National Paste Up Day, what would your ransom note say? Starting with Shiraz.
Wow.
Hi there, my name is Shiraz and I play Stuhl the Rogue. And my ransom note would probably be like, can you please take him back? He's super annoying. We'll pay you like whatever you want. We'll leave him on the side of the road. Just pick him up. Please God, make it stop.
Wednesday?
Hi, I'm Wednesday. I play Layla the Tiefling, and my ransom note would say, if you want her back, then you'd best give us as much money as you have, because she has been keeping this hideout superbly clean and does all the dishes and scrubs the floors, and the place has never looked so good before.
Would they even send you back? Like, they just take the money and...
No, they just take the money, probably. Yeah, they would take me back. I think the people at home would definitely start missing me if that happened. They'd be like, shit, who's gonna wash the dishes now?
Tauno?
Hi, I'm Tauno. I play Rasthikos the Warrior, and I think my ransom note would... It's a good question. Why would someone kidnap me?
Why wouldn't someone kidnap you?
What?
Yeah, why wouldn't they kidnap you?
Here's the thing, if my ransom note, what they would accept as ransom for me would probably be... Now I forgot the word for the thing, but the thing you put in your ears so that you can't hear loud noises.
Earplugs?
Earplugs?
Earplugs, yeah. They would probably accept earplugs as ransom for me, because as those of you I've spoken with in the past can probably note, I talk a lot.
But you talk very well. So
Yes.
it's fine.
They probably keep you to announce all their like nefarious deeds to other people, like on the phone call.
In that case, they're probably like a good broadcasting system.
Yeah, sort of. Maybe they don't have like the gravitas to deliver the messages. Like, give us your.
Maybe they work for Fat Boss and want someone else to read the tactics. Dragon?
Ooh, what would they say in my ransom note? We want X thing, but in the meantime, can you tell us how to make her stop being ill everywhere? That would
Everywhere?
be so much work for them.
Ill everywhere.
Well, I'm assuming if they kidnap me, they haven't bothered to take my meds. So I'm just going to be like collapsing all over the hideout. Collapsing, crying, probably throwing up from pain. I think they'd be quite glad to get rid of me, to be honest.
That seems to be the theme.
They're like determining that we're not kidnappable at all, not abductable at all. Like low priority targets here.
Oh my god!
I'm not convinced that anyone I know has that much money to get me back anyway, so...
I would give them a shiny 20 pence.
Thank you.
And finally, Susie.
Hi, I'm Susie. I play 13 the Goblin, and you guys have all made a massive error in answering this question. My ransom note would be like, give me all your money or I'll kill them. Because, you know, I'd be sending the ransom note. You chumps are getting kidnapped. What you doing?
I think it's just like we're banking on the sellability of our skills, apart from like Wednesday, who has great skills. Like,
You maybe kidnap her to keep hideout tidy, but like, yeah, you guys are a bunch of chumps. I'm writing the ransom note here.
You're like, let me write it. I'll do it.
Yeah, give me that newspaper. But I'd be more likely, you'd be more profitable holding someone's information, you know, like, and then demanding Bitcoin. That's the way to do it. Which is totally not in the spirit of National Paste Update.
Again, it seems like you thought about this. It's
National Paste Update is here to represent before computers. So it was people who made the letter themselves, so it would be like the proper like cutting out letters in newsprint.
Oh.
A proper
Now you
ransom
can just do it in
note.
Photoshop. Now you can just do it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Why can't you just WhatsApp it? Like,
It's unfair on the police because you don't leave as
No,
much
just send a
evidence. It's not
text,
unsportsmanship.
Send a text or
Somebody
randomly
just
have
send-
you.
Somebody just sent like a letter back saying this is not sustainable. You cut up too much pieces of paper, and now they're just gonna be around. It's just gonna clog up everything. What did you do with the waste?
Just send them an email from an address and just have the secret one is not a ransomnote.com.
I'm pretty sure that's a website, but I don't
Probably
want
is.
to like taint my Google search history. I'm mortified. At some point, Google would just come to my house and go, "Okay, so at this point, you were searching for like bearded ladies. Why is that?" And I'd be like, "It's for a reference for a drawing," and they'd be like, "No." Into the slammer you go.
No. I like that. They'd be like, no.
No. No.
No.
Just get in the van. Welcome to episode 20 of Abyss. the epilogue episode. So, to celebrate National Sneak Some Zucchini Into Your Neighbour's Porch Day, which is apparently a thing, fuck knows how would you sneak some zucchini onto your neighbour's porch? Starting with Shiraz.
I'm going to cut everyone off at the pass and say that this is some fucking euphemism level shit, innuendo going on here. And I'm not going to address it. So I think I would just ring my neighbor's doorbell and then chuck the zucchini onto the porch.
It says sneak some zucchini onto your into your neighbour's porch day offers gardeners a variety of ways to rid themselves of extra produce. So
I don't like zucchini, so I would definitely ring the doorbell and then just run around the back and chuck everything onto their back porch.
Fair enough then. Wednesday.
Hi, I'm Wednesday and I play Layla the Tiefling. How would I sneak zucchini onto my neighbor's porch? Into the porch?
Into the porch for some reason, which I don't really understand, but okay.
Which is why I was saying it's a euphemism.
I'm sure it's onto. In any case, I really despise my neighbors. They throw these crazy loud parties where I can feel the bass in the floor of my whole house. And then they tell me that it's not them. But if I open my curtains, I can see the fucking disco lights. So I would literally just wait for all the zucchinis to go off and then chuck them over the wall into their swimming pool. Yes,
fair enough then.
That's what I would do.
And if anyone interested, this does have the longest hashtag I've ever seen over one.
Wow, that's crazy. Why is it into your neighbor's?
I don't know.
Like what?
It must be innuendo.
Inside?
It has to be innuendo. I'm gonna have to Twitter this.
Tauno?
Hi, I'm Tauno, and I play Rasthikos. And given that I live in a dorm, I don't really have neighbours, and if you count my dorm mates, they don't really have porches either. So I guess the nearest thing I could do was just leave a zucchini I bought on their shelf in the fridge. Does that count? I mean, it's in the
I suppose
fridge.
so. It would be sneaking.
It would be inside the location.
I mean, you could always put it in their bed, but that would only add to the euphemism problem.
Into your neighbor's porch, yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, you're saying you don't have any neighbors, and one of your most famous neighbors throughout this entire game has been the one with the laugh.
Oh yeah, he's moved out sadly.
Yeah, so you need to track him down and find out if he has a porch.
He's got an apartment. I think he lives in an apartment, so I doubt it. Maybe could throw one up on a balcony.
Just a very well aimed zucchini, just 3 rotations. So Twitter has been disappointing because there's nobody celebrating the day we're talking
At first,
about.
it doesn't exist till tomorrow. So.
Okay.
Well, it says it exists. It has a previous experience. But yeah, it's very weird. So we go now to Dragon.
Hello, I'm Dragon. I am playing Triss Nitra, a Drow. Okay, my neighbours don't have porches either because we're not in America. I'm in Glasgow, and most of the housing here in the form of Victorian tenements. So about the closest to it I could get would probably be putting some courgettes through the letterbox of the other people in my close.
I think this is an innuendo because that's even worse.
Well, pretty much every close I've ever been into in Glasgow, the stairwells for the different buildings, everyone has an inner door and a storm door. So you've got this tiny little space between your 2 doors, which would be the equivalent to a porch. So if I can push them through the external letterbox, so it's in between those 2 doors, that should count.
In Glasgow, what would people do if you actually push zucchini through all their letterboxes in a close?
They'd try it.
They'd probably use them and then be slightly concerned about which of their neighbours was an absolute fucking nutcase.
Probably, yeah.
Probably in much worse language than that.
Would you use a courgette that had been posted through your letterbox by some random?
No.
Probably.
I mean, to be honest, wouldn't they have to cut it up to be posting it through your
They could just shunt it through, I imagine.
I did find
As
something
one
on
does with a
Instagram.
recipe.
Oh,
I found, yeah, but like it's all like kind of. So inexplicably, there's a picture of a cat pushing, like a drawing of a cat pushing a zucchini onto your face, like towards us. And there's a picture of a model. It's just weird. Hold on, let me.
What?
Let's see
I
this
shall
picture
share
then.
it. I shall share it. Straight from Instagram, and someone has said fire and put the fire emoji. As is the internet.
I see.
I wish I was making it up.
What?
I wish you were too.
That's very confusing.
Are you sure that's not just a stock photo someone's using?
Possibly.
It does
'cause I
look
can
like a stock photo.
I can see some kind of watermark on it, but I don't understand. It has nothing to do with zucchini.
Zucchini's own neighbors, yeah.
It's the way someone has written, let me know if you need any artwork, DM. Like, what
Jeez,
about
wow.
this picture gives you the
I mean,
impression that they need artwork?
As an artist who does commissions, man, you gotta like hit up every opportunity.
You just gotta put yourself out there.
Otherwise, you don't get the work. You just gotta be like.
Anyway, so, and Susie.
Oh, yeah, I am Susie Q. I play 13, the Ancient One. And I'm also in the problem of I live in flats. There are no porches. We don't even have storm doors. But if I lived in a place where I had a porch and my neighbour had a porch, and I was going to sneak courgettes into their porch, I would sneak out in the dead of night one time and plant courgettes underneath their porch and then tend them in secret while they grew into their porch. So they'd be like total surprise. And then it'd be like, oh no, where did those courgettes come from?
That is definitely the definition of sneaking them in.
Wow.
Okay, I have found my favorite picture. Sorry, I will keep posting. Go ahead. It's nefarious. It speaks to me in so many layers. How they wrapped it up.
What the fuck?
What?
I mean, if you're going to do it.
Yeah, you gotta be nice about it.
It's the hashtag woke up like this. Like, it just raises more questions.
Happy holidays.
I just woke up wearing a dino head. Sure, okay then.
I mean,
Why not?
see, the more I look at it, the more hilarious it gets because it doesn't look like a Porsche. It looks like someone's outhouse.
Well, maybe this is the kind of thing they need to come for
No, and the
entertainment.
zucchini seems to be wrapped in like a piece of paper with like a sticker, with like a fancy sticker on it.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, is it a gift, zucchini? Like,
They were considering.
Well, what is a
This is
gift?
for
But
you.
it's the best way of sneaking because people don't tend to hand gifts back as much.
yeah.
But is it the Trojan zucchini? Like there's a
Trojan
bunch
zucchini.
of little. I'm gonna incorporate this into a game at some point.
This is a candid shot of Ishidoro. This is what this is.
This is what I've been up to for the past 2 weeks. Leaving.
Is this what you're about to do in the next 2 weeks? Is that why you're
Oh
going
my
away?
Yes, I have to like find porches. There's none over here.
As of next week, we'll be doing a couple of breakdowns of the previous episodes. So we'll start at like the beginning and talk about the story and talk about your thoughts on it. But is there anything at the moment you would like to ask me overall for the story that we should include now?
What happened to Eric?
Eric, do you want to know what Eric was, or do you just want to know what happened to him?
Yeah, what was he
Both.
and what happened to him? Yeah.
Alright.
Both is good.
In the book, there's a gelatinous cube called Glabagul, and Glabagul is meant to be a friend of the party. Well, it's basically an intelligent gelatinous cube that just sort of follows you around. You find him in the temple, the same place you found him in the book, but the temple is far more simple. And he just kind of follows you around And the biggest problem with him is that sometimes he blocks corridors because he's too big. So what Eric actually was a sentient gelatinous cube that was, I think I made him, he was a droplet of Jubilex in the version I wrote.
Okay.
So he was like kept in this like sort of separate zone. I think it was kind of like if anything happened to Jubilex, there'd still be like a sort of second Jubilex effectively kind of thing. But yeah, he got ripped apart and ripped to pieces by Demogorgon.
Oh.
Poor Eric.
So yeah, so
I have
actually
a question.
kill a gelatinous cube. That's the question.
You can freeze it and break it into bits. That's what gave my players then.
I recently ran one of the 9 quests included in the new Essentials kit for my family as first-time players. And their first monsters were Ochre Jellies, another ooze monster.
Yeah.
And I basically played it with them, cutting them into smaller and cutting holes in small enough pieces that even if it is still sentient and moving, it can't do any harm.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to Eric, really.
I have a question. The Darrow that we knocked out in the very first episode.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And then he showed up outside, the redacted place where redacted was made. And then he started punching people's heads off like it was going out of fashion.
Yeah.
What was his deal?
For a
was he supposed to be a thing, or was he just a distraction?
If I remember,
Was he another
psychotic
mad
mushrooms?
prophet?
he was a mad character, and I'm trying to remember if he was the one. No, he wasn't. It was Sareth. Sareth was the drow that you had in the garden.
Yep.
I had him just he'd been planted and he just ended up being killed. But basically, if Sareth gets found, he just basically explodes. It's hilarious. But the Darrow was called Bipido, and Bipido was, I think if I remember it, Bipido was actually just a psycho. And his whole thing was that he just goes insane after a certain amount of time and just tries to kill the party.
Wasn't there something about him having eaten bad mushrooms at some point as well?
In the version of
Because he ate the mushrooms, and I definitely remember connecting the dots about mushrooms.
In our version of the story that I wrote, I had it that he basically was, because he was a Darrow, the Darrow were known to have this mushroom addiction, which was just basically crazy mushrooms, and he just ate this entire bag of mushrooms to prove to the guards that they were not dangerous, and he ended up going insane and killing them all and being killed himself. In the book there is some sort of stone giant that's gone mad from eating mushrooms or something like that, but I didn't include it because it just felt so, you're meant to meet the stone giants at a certain point, and then later on you come back and touch them when you go back to Graven Hollow and stuff like that, and there's so much faction stuff in the book that none of it made it to our game, because I literally cut all the faction related stuff out, because it felt literally like every single village you went to was resetting the bar of let's go make friends and let's go prove to this village we're worth it, and it just no.
To be honest, that's most D&D logic in the old modules, wasn't it? It's you reach a place, you make friends, you get the quest, and move on.
The whole story in the book about the Abyss is that you start off in the slave pens, you basically break free, you somehow get some gear back, you basically escape with these bunch of people, you make your way up to the dwarves, you make your way outside, you literally go and do something else for several months, and you get invited back in, you come back into the world by the dwarves, and then you go through all these villages that you're meant to have made friends from all the way along, recruit people to come work in an army for you, then your army gets basically put on hold while you faff around in the labyrinth, and then you use the army, I think you do use the army to go and do Mensa Brands, but it's very vague in regards to the story we
I
have.
really love the idea of faffing around in a labyrinth. That's something that would happen at Rasthikos. Ooh, let's go faff around in the labyrinth. Oh, that sounds like jolly good fun.
Jolly good.
So
Get lost in
big.
the hedge maze.
I'm squiffy. Sorry, I did an Inspector Calls as a teenager at drama school, and I played the old matron. Yeah, but there was at one point we had to read out this line, and it was, "You're squiffy," which was hilarious. You're all squiffy.
But was there any point where we made you drastically change the note because we done something ridiculous?
To be honest, after writing for the Plummet cast for so long, and after writing the Curse cast for so long, I mean, most of the things I did for the Curse Cast was predictable. There was only a couple of things you guys did that I didn't have pre-written. One thing was I didn't have anything written for you to go back to the cube engine. So, but that was just literally I was like, there's nothing there really, but you were like, no, I want to go back and look at the cube, and I'm like, alright, okay, we'll go back and look at the cube then. I don't think there was much else. I took quite a while to write things, and the first few episodes I think were the same problem I always have, which is you can overwrite, if you know what I mean, like you can overscript things and there's not much sort of give with what you write. But by the time you get later on, you're literally just doing like, this is a bullet point for this room, and then everything else is just, texture and drawing around it happily just expands quite nicely. There's a couple of times that I had to change a little what I was after, but not really. I mean, there's times that if you ever do get around to listening to the archive series, there's sometimes that what I say I want to do in the episode is not what actually happens, but that's because I've come up with a better idea on the way to that idea, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
But I think for the most part, what I predicted was going to happen mostly came true. Mostly.
This is more an observation than a question, but like I liked how, first of all, I wasn't able to guess which way it was going, but also the fact that when things got scary or things got dangerous, all of us like instinctively just like dropped into that. We haven't been killed, but we're very afraid of being killed mode.
I like writing adaptations because I feel that there's a lot to tell with the story that I feel that anyone can just pick up a book and read it. It takes a bit to sort of take that book and go, well, how could we make it a little bit more unique? How could we tweak it a little bit? How could we make this story feel a bit more just different from the most? I mean, we did it with Curse as well, where we basically spent most of the time going, well, I don't like people going A to B to A to B to A to B and then on to C. I like people going, everything needs to do A, then everything needs to do B, then everything do it C. Whereas Curse of Strahd very much wants you to go like lurching back and forth. And this book, Out of the Abyss, very much as well was kind of like, we want you to go through everything, make friends with everything, make sure you come across as these like majestic heroes all the way through. And I'm like, I don't write that. I didn't do it with Curse of Strahd. I felt with Curse of Strahd as well that the better characters are the ones that start as nobodies and grow, and if they grow to be like, quite strong, like sort of esteem from, like sort of granted esteem or granted like the grandeur, they've kind of earned it rather than just being, all these are heroes of legend that have all waltzed in. And
I agree. Like most of my campaigns also follow the same kind of, everyone's kind of a nobody and then they slowly build up to being somebody.
Yeah. I think that it makes a far better book. I mean, when we did Strahd, as I said, we did it as they were nobodies, nobody cared about them, Strahd didn't care about them. And they just did weird shit all the way through, and they weren't like these majestic, vicious heroes, they were just these group of nobodies that were just slowly working their way through everything. And I think with Out of the Abyss, it was the same thing really. It was like, you guys sort of were running from the Drow without realising you were running from the Drow, but you were like hitting all the notes the book wanted you to hit. It was just they were hitting in a much more personalised way.
You gave us a dragon.
Yes. Then Shard in the book was very different from what I wrote, so...
And honestly, that was the turning point for me, where I was like, okay, we're going to like Looney Town now. That's like, okay, I always say this, with like a person's imagination of a character they create and how they play it is often very different. I feel like for me it was like, oh, Ishidoro is like demon hunter and he's like quick and this and that, and then I was like, no, he's gonna be an idiot like all my characters.
Just so much more enjoyable to play an idiot though. It's far more
agreed,
far more fun. Like I have a character in mind for that I want to do at some point, but it would have to be a sort of Shadowrun cyberpunk style thing. It's based on the character. If any of you have seen the film Don't Kill It.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. Don't Kill It is a fantastically stupid film. It's a Dolph Lundgren film, and basically it's from 2016 or something like that. And the whole premise is that someone opens this pot and finds this demon, but it possesses him straight away, and whoever it possesses goes and just instantly needs to kill people. But if anyone kills that guy, they then become the demon. And Dolph Lundgren plays this like demon hunter basically, who just wanders around just being Dolph Lundgren. But the two things he does that I want to steal is when he says bye to everyone, he doesn't say bye, he shouts Merry Christmas. And the other thing he does is one of the things he does when people are like getting really upset with him is he shoots them and then holds his gun up and says, "It's all right, everyone. It's rubber bullets," and everyone just goes, "Oh, that's fine." He shoots them point blank and then goes,
And it's
"Rubber
not
bullets."
rubber
fine."
bullets.
I can see that working in Shadowrun.
Genuinely, like, if you ever get a chance, it's on Netflix. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's stupid. It's really fucking stupid. I won't spoil the plot for you or anything, but
There's quite
it
a high
follows too many
correlation
of the.
between.
You can predict where the fuck this is going right from the beginning, but it's daft as fuck. I just love the character. This like massive guy that just sort of lumbers around, and everyone goes, "You should be more worried." And he goes, "I'm very relaxed all the time. Well, I'm gonna get in your face, and I'm gonna do this, and bang! It's all right, everyone. Rubber bullets. Merry Christmas." It's just, I just fucking love it. It's just so
unusually
I love
high
it.
correlation. It's unusually high correlation of movies with Dolph Lundgren and the ones that are just fucking insane. Like there's one I saw, and I can't remember the name of it. It's when he's like a science teacher in a school, and then the school goes under lockdown because terrorists have invaded it, and he builds a tank.
What?
That sounds like
I'm
a
not
Dolph
even
Lundgren film.
You just built the tank. Like
Yeah.
at high school.
He's like the shop teacher, and he builds a tank in the shop class.
Why does
And-
this movie seem familiar?
This Dolph Lundgren is just, some of the films he's in is just like, what the fuck?
That'd be great if we all played versions of Dolph Lundgren in a Shadowrun game.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, he plays this, I think it's like he's a demon hunter, and he's like, "You're not gonna believe me, but I'm a demon hunter," and everyone's like, "You're right, we don't." He's like, "Oh well." Just moves on, just like, "Oh well." It's just, I just love the character. I love the character. But yeah, I think that having an idea of a character, having ideas when you run things, you want characters that are intriguing and are different and are just weird. And a lot of times when I write things, like, for example, when I wrote this version Out of the Abyss, I read most of the book bits that I could, because I genuinely do struggle to read sometimes because my brain just won't take in things. Usually I get someone else to sort of read it as well and I bounce ideas off them. But I noticed with Out of the Abyss that there was a lot of similarities to the Inferno, as in Dante's Inferno. And because I've read Dante's Inferno several times, I was like, I could do a lot with this. So that's why there were a lot of things that were written deliberately in the version that you guys did that were tying into Dante's Inferno. Like, you're basically going upwards from things and you were seeing certain towns and stuff where the reflections of those kind of sins in those kind of regions. Like, I think Sloop-de-Dip is the main one where it was heresy and all the heads were like spun round backwards, and there was the girl hanging upside down like the cross, and it was all that kind of heretical stuff. And I don't know if any of it even got close to sinking in. But that's how.
I think we were just terrified not to get our heads twisted.
Yeah, but that was the main idea with a lot of things. But yeah, the dragon was just useless. The whole weird dragon spunk thing as well was just something out of the blue.
That was so dodge.
I think I came up with it as a random idea to freak the person I was talking to about ideas out, and they loved it so much that I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's actually a good idea then.
She must have hated you for that.
She loved the idea, that's the problem.
I'm surprised.
I think it was the fact that she fell a bit laughing when I mentioned the illicit dragon spunk selling service. She's just like, what the fuck? I was like, no idea's a stupid idea, let's build on kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a great idea. I think it just like kind of was at the point where everything was, serious, and then suddenly this happened, and you're like, oh, okay. It's like,
yeah.
We were like slaves for a bit, and then everybody was like, okay, we're taking it seriously. And then as soon as that moment hit,
we're gonna go start our face cream trade. You know what I mean?
The whole face.
I'm kind of sad it didn't go anywhere.
The face cream thing was, if you ever remember 6 Feet Under, the show on Channel 4, that used to be the sort of very, very pitch black comedy. One episode
About
of
the Undertakers.
One of them. There's only 2 things I ever remember about that show. One was the one that started with the guy like inflating like blow-up dolls to put outside his car showroom, and one flies into the air, and this woman stops her car and thinks it's an angel and runs outside screaming into speeding traffic because she thinks the angels are coming.
Oh god.
And the other one was this woman who got her sons to jack off into a jar for her to use as face cream, and that's why she was looking so young. That's the only two things I remember about 6 Under Pitch Black.
Wow.
And I just loved some of the dark as fuck comedy in it. Yeah, there was just weird shit like that I just was like...
Yeah, it was a weird show.
Very weird show. It's one of the ones I always want to go back
Did
to
it
watch to see
have
what
Will
it was
Smith in it? Or am I...
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. It was the guy who played Dexter.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember who else was in it.
Yeah, it was a bit controversial at the time because he was like in a gay relationship with a black man as well, which upset a lot of folks back then.
Oh dear.
But it's one of those shows that just was weird and different, and I just remember elements and stuff that I've remembered from weird and bizarre days past. And I was just, when it came up to like, what could these like evil dwarves be doing to this dragon? And I was just like, how dark can we go?
I mean, we ended up like inadvertently causing most of them to kick the bucket. So,
They originally had the idea, as I said, with this whole Inferno idea, that you couldn't tell if it was an afterlife or if it was a prison or what it was, but this whole region was like people that had been caught by the Drow put here, and if they've broken out, they can't get out. And it was like when you meet the dwarf and stuff like that, and the dwarf that's with you goes, I thought you were dead. It's meant to have this element of, is everyone here actually dead? Is everyone here just disappeared and they've reappeared here? Is it some sort of like the prisoner kind of thing? It was just kind of trying to play off that. And then, you know, the stone is unfriendly, we can't get out of here. I just didn't like the concept that you got to Gauntlegrim and then just fucked off. And then 6 months later this dwarf writes you a note and says, please come back. It just felt so cheap.
is the original book supposed to be like a massive campaign? Like it sounds like it.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It is meant to be a campaign.
It's meant to be a campaign
Yeah,
where you're
it's
meant
meant
to
to-
befriend every single faction, go away for 6 months or 9 months, do another campaign or do something else, then all come back, and the whole downway is changed depending what you've done at the start. And then you're meant to do things like go to like Crackle and say, we need an army, and Crackle go, oh well, you're the mighty hero, so we'll send you an army of dwarves or Darrow or something, and then you're meant to march like on mounts and stuff, and it's just felt...
I've always had trouble with books like that because they seem like a massive grand adventure, whereas like the first thing I've ever ran, which was officially a module, was Minds of Madness.
Yeah.
And I love Minds of Madness because Minds of Madness is very self-contained, it's small, everything happens right there. It's got enough like tricks in it to make people freak out.
Yeah.
But it's also like maybe 2-3 sessions max.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I loved the concept of Out of the Abyss. I didn't like the execution. That's why I rewrote a lot of it, and I changed a lot of things in the book.
Also, how old is Out of the Abyss now?
think
Like
it's
that, a module?
2015.
Is it 2015?
2015.
Yeah, it came out just before Curse of Strahd, I think. Maybe it's 2014.
I will just tell you for exactly, because I'm looking at my copy now. 2015. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very old. I think it was the last
it-
big one before
It was the third. It was the third campaign they made for 5th edition.
Was it Storm King's Thunder that came
Tyranny-
out just in the rise of podcasting?
It was Tyranny of Dragons came out in 14 with the edition. Then Princess of the Apocalypse came out at the end of 14. Then I think Out of the Abyss was their big thing, once they had gotten their feet wet. And then they went into Curse of Strahd, which is where they get really popular, and that's when you start to see live shows and podcasts pop up. And then you have a lot more jumping into Storm King's Thunder, which is much more standard genre fare, whereas Curse of Strahd is built to be much more creepy and sort of horror-ish.
Yeah.
It is horror. It's unfortunate that it is named for someone who is basically a whiny emo incel.
That really depends on how you play him, though.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Because Nikolai has ran it, and I'm running it for a group just now. Strahd is such an incel.
I rewrote everything in Curse of Strahd because I decided one day out of the blue I was going to see what would it be like if I ran this. And I rewrote it and ran it, and I remember putting on Twitter saying, what would it be like if I rewrote and ran this? And I had about half the people responding saying, I'd really love to hear what you did with it, and half people saying, don't fucking touch a classic. And it was literally equally spread. It was like some people saying, and I put a post up saying, like joking about the mist, saying like, what is this shit? How can people play this when it's this genuinely something like what the fuck? And I got someone replying saying, if you're not going to respect the source material, leave it alone. And I was like, no, this is just going to inspire me to fuck around with it more. And that's one of the main reasons I rewrote everything. And I basically wrote Strahd as this whiny, emo child. He wrote poetry. He was obsessed with his brother's girlfriend and his brother's wife. He thought he could win her heart by writing poetry and going long walks, so very sort of sensibility meets emo child. But he also had the sort of tragic story of like the Macbeth side, where he was a war general but sold his soul. All that kind of stuff blended into my version, whereas the version of the book, he like just turns up and goes, "Bah!" And you're like,
I mean, that really tells you something about the Dungeon Master's ability to play the character if that's how you choose to introduce a villain.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I've never
played straight up evil overlord type. That is 100% possible, but it's definitely apparently not what you're into, and that's fine. But that's not the fault of the book.
I mean, I haven't played Curse of Strahd, but I've always heard about people getting really freaked out by Strahd, and it mostly has to do with how their DM played it.
Yeah, Strahd is one of those characters that if your DM plays it in a weird way, it can really fuck up your players.
Yeah, because some people are like Leslie Nielsen, and then some people are like Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
So
some people enjoy the sort of Gary Oldman style, some people enjoy Leslie Nielsen style, some people enjoy Bela Lugosi style. There's all lots of different types of Dracula kind of thing, but it all depends to how you feel your character should be played.
a friend of mine ran a game for us in which he converted Tomb of Annihilation for us into 5th edition. And this was just his doing. He converted the whole dungeon for us at 5th edition. And when I played it, I understood why people found it intriguing, because it's very dangerous. It doesn't pull its punches at all. The first corridor, our thief suffered something like 160 points of poison damage because they didn't detect a trap and fell straight into a spike pit that was poisoned. And I think we ended our first session by being teleported outside the tomb without any of our clothes on because we went into the wrong door. My character put his hand into the demon facade and lost a fourth of their hit points. So I see that the classics are they were devastatingly difficult.
The old school stuff is built to be dungeon crawling first and foremost. They were built to be a challenge from Gary Gygax to his family. Some of the old school traps are just, when you step into this corridor, it flips, it rotates 90 degrees and everyone's pushed into a spike pit in the side. That just happens when you step in there.
I enjoyed that a lot, but then I also felt that the most recent books, when I picked up Storm King's Thunder, and I was like, this seems interesting, but it seems like it doesn't have that, how shall I put it? Maybe it makes me sound really kind of facetious, but it doesn't have that kind of sense of foreboding or fear. It doesn't emulate that properly for me yet.
Yeah, I think the Storm of Annihilation is, what am I talking about? Storm of Annihilation, that would be a mashup, I think.
Yeah.
King's Thunder is very much meant to be a world crawl, travel the north of the Forgotten Realms, visit as many of the giants as you're interested in, and then go to the final bit and do that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Tomb of Annihilation is built to be that harsh, old-school dungeon crawl, specifically written to have a mechanic for bringing in new characters when your current ones inevitably die.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And part of me loves that. I feel that it's very mechanical, yes, but we built a lot of stories that were our own out of mechanics. The brutality of it will force us to kind of make narrative choice, which is strange because there's very little narrative to go in that place, because it was left to us to fill in the blanks.
I think of all those old modules, the one that has the strongest prescribed narrative is actually Ravenloft 2, the sequel to Strahd, which has nothing to do with Ravenloft. Strahd just shows up in it. I think that's the reason why. And it's actually, from a purely literary standpoint, really interesting, because you can play it as a follow-up to the original Castle Ravenloft adventure, which is basically just show up in Barovia, walk up to the castle, enter the castle, do the dungeon crawl. So the Ravenloft 2 basically says, if you're playing them combined, just as they're about to kill Strahd, have the mists come in and they are transported and they wake up in an inn in this sleepy coastal town, and then they can meet Strahd the Alchemist, a local alchemist who has been faffing about with soul stuff, and then they can go and visit the local mansion house, and there's apparently been monsters and stuff running about at night. Basically, in this story, Strahd the Alchemist split his soul into its good and evil parts, and the evil part became Strahd the Vampire. And he has now returned and is possessing a random character in the module, controlling the monsters at night. And so there's this whole thing in, well, which character is he possessing? What is his actual goal? Does he want to reunite with the Alchemist? Does he want to kill the Alchemist? Does he want to establish himself in this world? Has this really interesting literary threads, and I'm just thinking that must be a weird narrative to sell your players on. Yeah, you've been hunting this vampire in his castle and you're just about to kill him, and now you're in another town and there's a guy who looks like the vampire but is actually a living, breathing good guy.
So like,
that's actually cool.
Looping it back around to this, I would say that like when I first contacted Nikoli and I wanted to play, he said it was going to be an adaptation of Abyss, and I had heard about Out of the Abyss, and I didn't want to read it going into the game because that would spoil it for me. So I just came into this completely blind, and I felt that like the less I knew, the more I was able to fill my own stuff into it. Like that like sense of the fun of playing was trying to figure out what was going on, because I think one of my first theories was, oh, this is just like the 7 deadly sins, and then I got proved horribly wrong.
I think one of the main things I try and do is I like the idea of adaptations I do are very different from the book.
Yes.
Because I think that even with the Curse of Strahd version that we did and the Out of the Abyss version we've just done now, you could still run the original and be, a lot of stuff is different enough that you could still be surprised by it, rather than the bits that we did, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's very different.
Yeah, well, if it helps, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the demons that you were bringing in. So I was just like, oh, I get to play this game like Layla, who knows nothing. Great. Minimal role-playing.
I was exactly the same as you. The thing I really enjoy about playing characters like 13 is you can literally just run around and poke stuff and see what happens, because that's half the fun, especially when you don't know what you're doing. I think any game, no matter how it's written, it all comes down to the DM on whether or not it becomes a good game or not, depending on whatever the content is. Because it's not just, it's not just X, Y, and Z. It happens in every game. Like, you meet an NPC or whatever, and for whatever reason, this guy who was just selling cabbages suddenly becomes the singular most important person to the whole party. And then so they save the world for or something like that. Those kind of twists are awesome. And literally in one game, we had a big bad evil guy who we would shake our fist at and go, Typhon! It was weird. Like, we shook our fist at him. Yeah, it was great fun.
Don't underestimate the players as well, though.
Yeah,
because even with the best DM, the best storytelling, the best everything, if you have players that don't engage or react, you can't really do anything with that. It never really clicks properly.
The group I'm running with at the moment, we're playing again this Friday. There's a bunch of new folks in there, in addition to those I've played with for years. And some of them have been really quick to engage. So it's been a joy pushing around with that. But again, there's some of them that are a bit slower and sort of have to question everything about how they engage with the game. So I'm trying to sort of accommodate both. But there's this really completely blindsided me moment where one of the players said they arrived before they had met the rest of the party, so they decided to go to the museum. And I'm like, okay, you go to the museum, here's some of the exhibits. I want to go to this exhibit with this specific thing that I just made up that I have not told you about yet.
That's always fun.
Yeah, and that turns out to be that character's primary goal. So now, of course, I've had the chance to come up with it a little bit, but before that, it was really oh shit, what do I actually do with this?
I'm
I love
afraid the
that.
museum is closed, and then you have a little conversation going, BT dub.
I had written the museum into the world. I had written a little bit of a backstory for that city, but then she wanted to visit a specific part of that museum that I had not written into anything.
I like
Closed,
that
it's
sometimes.
missing, it's under renovations.
I find that most of my best ideas come from like some kind of under pressure situation like that, where something completely out of left field shows up, and then you just gotta think on your feet really fast about how it's going to happen. Like in the Tomb of Annihilation thing, I lost like my arm, so the DM promptly took away a fourth of my hit point total. But then later on we fought a gargoyle, and he let the sorcerer basically mend one of the gargoyle's hands onto my hand. So I had a little stone hand running around. But that, like, I love that stuff. That's essentially why I like playing, and partially why I enjoyed playing Abyss so much, because I didn't know what was coming, and 99% of me was just screaming, bucket. How do you build a bucket?
Yeah, but I would 100% play a game with all you guys again. It was a hoot.
Yeah, it was super fun.
A bowl and handles, that's how you get a bucket.
Previously on Into the Abyss.
We're all gonna die!
I just been reviewing 13's character sheet, and I would like to remind everybody she is still now proficient in cooking at soup.
Oh yeah.
So 2 points in soup.
A soup. Like one.
Any
Skill
soup.
soup plus.
She's expert at making soup now.
Oh god.
Right, we will.
So the game that I ran a couple of weeks ago, I had Lenida, Belry, and AJ decide that the way that they were going to solve an issue was that they were going to make rock soup for a monster.
Beautiful.
And then they went round and tried to find all the ingredients for rock soup.
Is that not just rocks
There's
and
plenty
water?
of rock.
Hmm.
They couldn't find any water.
With
They didn't have
spice.
anything to cook soup in. And Belry was convinced that if he cooked rocks for long enough, they would get soft.
Oh wow.
Rock
So-
soup is like cement.
Yeah.
If it was at
other-
all possible, 13 has brought a thermos of soup
Hold on.
just to keep
We
everyone's
couldn't-
spirits up.
Yes, I mean, I'm all for that, but we had an incredibly difficult time explaining what a bucket was.
This is true.
True.
13
I mean,
is the
it
age
could
of blood.
it could just be like a flask, a skein of soup made by
Yeah.
made by the Minotaurs for you.
Yeah. No, 13 made the soup. That's how she gives
Oh.
back to her people.
I really want this to be the state where like we get out of here and 13 is now just there's a goblin that rules over a bunch of Minotaurs.
Starts a cult. Soup worshipping cult. Instead of a temple, we have like a big gigantic cauldron.
Always hosted.
Not always, like it'd be shaped like a big cauldron, and then you go in it, and there'd be various temple rooms. But on the top, there would be like an altar where there's the holy soup making ceremony, etc.
I like how you planned ahead of this. Today's special is parsnip. All hail the parsnip.
You'll
All
be
hail the
gradually removing the demon taint from all of the Minotaurs.
With wholesome soup,
Wholesome parsnip.
yeah,
All right.
all organically growing.
Well, the Minotaurs are good farmers.
Yeah, and they're vegetarian.
I can hear Rasthikos just saying, and I didn't eat any of them. I don't know, I used to get comic books in brown bags, so I suppose that's the best thing, but you can't put anything in a brown bag without it looking suspicious. Like, no matter what you have in there, it just looks like a bottle of booze, or some kind of like thing that you're not supposed to put in a brown bag. Also, just saying, for the purposes of my check, I know that most of these days are invented in order to market something. I suppose here the object is brown bags, but does Hallmark also make Happy Brown Bag Day cards?
I wouldn't put it past them. Wednesday?
I don't have a favorite thing that I put in brown bags, but talking about coughing, usually, well, at least here in South Africa, what they do is when you go to the pharmacy, they staple everything into a brown bag. They staple it into a brown bag and then they lock it in this little cage. So even if it's like antihistamines, it goes into a little brown bag, which is stapled closed, and then put into this cage. I have no idea why, but that is what happens.
To attract the squirrels.
The staples are for safety.
Obviously.
The staples are to make it look like it has worth. Okay. Tauno?
My favourite thing to put in a brown bag. I don't think I've ever put anything in a brown bag myself, and certainly not the archetypical brown bags of the US or the picture on your link. I think the only brown bags I've gotten were on the off chance that the bag from a store was brown, maybe when I went grocery shopping. So I guess by process of elimination, my favourite thing to put in a brown bag is my groceries.
There was me expecting you to say hardcore Danish pornography. Dragon?
I mean... no, not really, no. I mean, you've met me, haven't you?
Have I met you, Tauno?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think you have.
Okay.
Yes, several times.
I like the existential inflection at the end of that. It's like, have I met you? Really? Have
Yes, yes, we
Have I met the real you? Dragon?
Oh, favourite thing to carry in a brown bag. In fairness, again, I don't tend to come across them very much. It's usually only if you're getting, like, takeaway food. So, probably food. There's a wee shop near me that does a brilliant roll and square sausage, so I'll go with that. Nom nom.
And Susie?
The only thing I'm really familiar with going in brown bags is bottles of Bucky. Alcohol, I guess. You know, and then you sit like a hobo and drink it out of the bag.
Brown bags do not have a good reputation.
No, but, you know, it's the only thing I can think of to put in a brown bag that's not already been mentioned. So, apart from like porn.
Yeah.
And like, who buys porn these days?
Not many people. Well, Belry buys anime, that's close enough.
I like him going to the shop and going, I would like one anime, please. Could you please put it in a brown bag?
Just one anime.
As long as his hands aren't too small, it should be fine. The last 2 weeks we've had him sit and rant about how he hates this one anime because the hands are too small.
Okay.
Yes.
I see he's a connoisseur.
Hang on, I'll find the link he put there.
He goes in there, slaps down 10 quid on the counter and says, I would like your most big-handed anime, please.
Yes. Make sure the hands are of appropriate size.
Where is it? It's called...
Hands bigger than their heads.
Hang on, I'll see if I can share this
he's
link.
freaked out
Let
because
me.
they're supposed to be playing instruments and their hands are too small to even pick up the instruments. He gets very
I mean, to
annoyed.
be fair,
It's the one he shared.
But just
I don't
from the
wanna click
thumbnail, that is a very small hand on that guitar.
I don't want to click that. It's like, I feel I might be cursed if I do.
Do you know what? I think it's okay. It's okay to have small hands.
I thought you were going to say it's okay to be cursed.
No, it's okay to have small hands. Like, no. Because they're meant to be Japanese, right? And Japanese people are really tiny. And they do have little hands, like really little hands. So it makes sense to me.
Nobody ever complained about Wile E. Coyote not really having any proper thumbs and yet being able to make all these crazy contraptions. You know.
True, but he got them all like
relax.
assembled from Acme though, right?
No, they come in flat packs and he needs to put them all together.
But they always fail.
Dude,
Maybe that's why.
The thing is, like, I was so sad to grow up and find out that there wasn't actually a company named Acme that would give you whatever you wanted in a kind of box. It's like, you could just log on and ask for, like, rocket-powered roller skates. and they would come in like a little box that would just appear with the words Acme penciled on the side.
That's what we need to do. We need to create a company that makes this shit.
I mean, essentially, if we take over Amazon, we take over Amazon and then like expand its catapult to catapults and shit.
Does Amazon sell catapults?
I'm pretty sure it does.
I'm sure they'll at least sell toy models of them.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick check.
I was actually just about to look it up as well.
If IKEA made catapults.
Amazon.co.uk only sells handheld catapults. I'm looking for the traditional siege catapult.
Oh yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
What?
Dude, they sell
like a
siege
catapult
catapults.
kit.
Like an actual catapult kit?
Hang on.
Jeez, Amazon is amazing.
I was gonna say that if Amazon doesn't have it, Alibaba probably does at a fraction of the cost. Leonardo da Vinci catapult. I mean, they're going for the branding.
Yep.
What?
It's actually not that expensive. I'm tempted.
To buy a siege catapult.
It's just... I would like that. Then
It takes
what would you catapult?
2 hours to build. No, but how big is it? It looks tiny.
don't
That's
know.
not a
It is
siege
tiny.
catapult.
Product
It looks
details.
like a toy.
It's tiny.
It
It
is,
looks
yeah.
like a toy.
It
Like
is-
no,
It's-
if you're gonna buy a siege catapult, actually have it be able to take down a castle wall. Like,
It's
come on.
25.4 centimeters by 12.3 by 25.4.
That's
No,
enough
that's
to
a
chuck
baby.
like...
30 centimeters square.
That's enough to chuck an Oreo into your mouth.
It is.
Yeah, basically.
But do they sell trebuchets? They do. What's the largest trebuchet Amazon sells?
I can't remember that length of text about how the trebuchet is the superior siege engine. How it can throw it off a certain weight, a certain distance. Can't remember.
So, a 90 kilogram weight over 400 meters. Yes.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
love that meme. I wrote an entire D&D episode about that.
Yes.
That is a good meme, to be fair. It's like...
What if the players had just decided not to engage with trebuchets? What would you have done then?
No, they had to. They just continued to get trebuchet memes until they did something about it.
Oh, couldn't they just go beyond 400 meters?
Well, that was the whole point, that the catapults weren't hitting 400 meters, but the trebuchet was. And then they had to keep hearing the fact that trebuchets can shoot 400 meters. Or is it 300 meters? I can't remember anymore.
It's whatever you want it
trebuchets.
to be for the sake of the meme. Because I saw that getting real wild, like them comparing it to the Death Star and stuff.
Hydraulic gearbot Pathfinder's catapult. What?
How many nouns can we just smash together to create a brand?
They're missing turbo. That looks fancy.
Weird.
Yeah. There's a book here called
Hydraulic
The Big Book of Catapult and Trebuchet Plans! By Ron Tom. Like,
Just
some of the
doesn't wanna
stuff here
show
is really cool though. Like, there's the Da Vinci helicopter and all that other stuff.
Oh, okay.
Is that the hydraulic one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda weird.
the one with all the gears.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be honest, if you had a model, you could probably reverse engineer the size required to actually make one.
Yeah.
True.
Probably.
Because it comes in parts, right?
A Da Vinci
Yeah, the
helicopter,
flat pack.
that's cool.
IKEA just needs to get on this because they're honestly missing out a market.
I don't even have IKEA in South Africa, okay? Do you know how much life sucks? Super cheap furniture that you can assemble in 5 minutes? Like, no.
It
not
takes more than
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
5 minutes.
It takes
is
more than 5
ambitious.
minutes. And it also requires you to have some basic knowledge of, like, kind of... Because the
But
amount
how
of times
to read
when I-
instructions?
honestly, the instructions are not that helpful.
The instructions are like a simple line drawing that doesn't label things and doesn't
Yeah.
have any words on it. It's just a
It's like
picture
complex
per
Lego.
step.
Yeah.
It's,
And the thing is, like, you can mess up really fast
oh yeah.
when you screwed like half of it in and then you realize, oh shit, I've got this the other way around. Where does this go?
Can I
It's
take
just
this
kind of...
apart again?
There's apparently a t-shirt that says, "Don't make me get my trebuchet."
You're slowly being sold by this idea. What you should do is do you live in a cul-de-sac? You should go around everybody's and just say, would you like a home defense system that can throw things 300 miles? And then have them get you the stuff and build it.
Yep. Then I can build my own trebuchet.
The thing that
Yeah,
annoys me
true.
there It's not a
catapult in the
trebuchet.
picture, yeah.
It's a catapult.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. Wow.
I was looking at that going, that's not a trebuchet. Oh god. It's so tempting. To celebrate National Hug a Newsperson Day, which newsperson would you like to hug?
That's an evil question.
Yes, yes it is. We'll start with Nal.
Bold of you to assume I know the name of any news person.
You don't need to, you can just describe a newsperson that you know.
From TV?
It
I
could be
don't
in a
know.
film,
I
it
don't have a
could be anywhere.
TV.
Not sure I do either.
I have a story about
don't.
someone hugging a news person, which is really awkward.
What's your story then?
The Glasgow School of Art, I used to work there, and Jon Snow came to visit, and my extremely dysfunctional boss decided to give him a bagel and then hug him. And it was the most awkward hug between two aged gentlemen that I have ever witnessed. He was clearly repulsed by it, and it went on for just long enough to become awkward as fuck. I mean, if you've seen Jon Snow, he's quite tall, and my boss is somewhere 5'2" or something, so he was literally hugging his chest for a bit. It was also weird because he was just holding the bagel gingerly and just being hugged for 30 seconds.
I've had paid holidays from 3 different jobs because someone famous was coming in and I was deemed too much of a risk. I got paid days off for all 3.
What reputation have you built up?
I think it was Princess Anne, Nicholas Sturgeon, and I can't remember who the third one was.
I can definitely see why they freaked out about you possibly meeting royalty.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious though.
Anyway, Tauno, hug a newsperson day, any stories?
I mean, all the news people I know by name, I have not any point, seen them hug anyone. Though I have met news people of whom I did not know the name. Maybe once I hugged one when they interviewed me. Maybe. Otherwise,
How did that go down?
I mean, I've done a couple of interviews for being part of some different organizations.
Okay.
So it would just be, if we'd hit it off, maybe we would hug upon saying goodbye.
Ah, okay. See,
but yeah, that would have been years ago at this point, and again, it would be for smaller local news organizations that the names would not pop up afterwards.
To be honest, this is of all the national something or something days, this is probably the most right. Who came up with this one?
I'm probably a marketing person like all the other days.
Susie?
I never meet anybody famous because I never go anywhere to meet people. But I don't know, my favourite news people don't do their news show anymore. I used to watch this show called Unfilter, and it was these 2 guys. One was a gamer fellow, and the other did a lot of sort of tech news, and they would their thing was they would look at the news, the same news stories told by various different news channels in sort of organizations, and point out things that were similar and things that were dissimilar. And they had a red book thing, a red book predictions, so they would predict things about politics. It was interesting, but they stopped doing it because it was taking too much time from their other work, and it was making no money because they did it for free, which was a shame. But it was good. I wish more people did stuff like that.
You'd think they had an opportunity to come back on YouTube or something.
Well, they were on YouTube. That was their platform. And they were on YouTube and Patreon, and there was just not enough folk interested. I mean, it was a 2.5 hour long stream they would do. It wasn't a short show, which I think was the problem. We've now started watching Jimmy Dore, who does a lot of short shows, and he does the same sort of thing, but he's quite angry, whereas these 2 guys weren't. More chill. And you guys know, I'm pretty chill.
As someone who does a lot of work and probably couldn't make enough living on Patreon at the moment, I can completely concur with that.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, people just need to keep doing it, and if you enjoy something, you need to support it.
You do run into the problem of if someone sees a post or a Patreon or whatever that no one has reacted to yet, psychologically people are much less likely to respond to it or to react. So as soon as one person does it, other people feel like they can. It's a really weird quirk of humans, but
Well, as someone who lives outside, like, the Western Hemisphere, I can't, like, really pay, because every time I set up something like a regular payment to Patreon or something, the government comes knocking and saying, why are you sending people money?
Right, yeah.
But my thing is more like, if I see any Patreon on any of my Twitters, I just retweet as much as I possibly can, just try and get it bumped up. But I know it's not like the best.
It's
Something
like,
for them. That's the important bit.
yeah.
Would you guys not like Twitch stream this stuff? Like, I know we don't need to do faces in it.
I think the main thing is I don't like the idea of having a camera pointed at me.
Yeah, but like if we could just do illustrations or something and back it up, and then like it's
Well, maybe. I mean, we might do that for the next adaptation.
yeah.
If we were recording and people were seeing us, I couldn't just sit here in my pajamas.
I'm glad you
fine.
got distracted though. It gave me time to get in on the game.
I have a tangerine.
I have an 8-litre flask.
Of tangerines.
Hopefully not tangerine. That would be quite weird.
I have people
What was
in my
that?
dorm laughing.
Yeah, I just heard like, I was gonna ask if like there was a witch somewhere nearby that needed.
It's, my dorm mates have decided to yet again have a little party of their own. Yesterday they stayed up, I think, until like almost midnight, eating cheese, drinking wine.
That's not going to feel good the day after.
As you do. I'm talking to some of the drama nerds that I know, and one of them is going to stitch me a large plushie that looks like a D20, and we were going to try and do an improv play in which the audience throws the D20, and then that determines how the play goes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds like an epic way just to play D&D.
I know, that's why I made it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can I come to that game?
If it ends up being successful, then yes.
Awesome.
It's just me like trying to like impose my will upon a lot of people.
But you're also getting them to sign up for it, so it's all good.
Yeah. It's free, so I'm hoping that'll like sweeten the deal.
Yeah, definitely.
And finally, a Drow lullaby written and performed by a dragon.
Hush, baby Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, yet do not fear. Hush, baby Drow, till you are the strongest, then you'll be safe in the shadows to strike. Hush, baby Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, but soon you will be the one to fear. Hush, baby Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, yet do not fear. Hush, baby Drow, till you are the strongest, then you'll be safe in the shadows to strike. Hush, baby Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, but soon you will be the one to fear. Hush, baby Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, yet do not fear. Hush, baby, Drow, till you are the strongest, then you'll be safe in the shadows to strike. Hush, baby, Drow, the darkness is watching, shadows of years, but soon you will be the one.